Right then, everyone. Waterloo Road Rewind Episode 7. Well, I guess Series 2, Episode 7. I want to say Episode 13, maybe? And I'm losing track. I think going forward, it might just be easier if I'm like, right, today's episode, we're talking about Series 4, Episode 12, whatever, because I could quickly do the math in my head, but it's just easier for me to just roll with it. I actually really like this one. I think this one feels like one of the more kind of traditional Waterloo Road episodes that we would come to see like throughout the original run. Because you've got this new character who's introduced just for this one episode, and they tell the story with them, which is very much like the student of the week type plot that the show will go on to do, or even in some cases the support staff or the adult or whatever. And it's Russell is the kind of stand-in. So Russell is an ex-cop who's decided to become a teacher. He's a hero. He got stabbed. He's suffering quite a lot now physically, and he's got bad PTSD. He's been trying to stay dry and sober, and Kim really looks up to him, really respects him. Something that I thought would have been quite cool if they knew that this episode was going to happen, then maybe during Series 1 or even very early into Series 2, during like a background plot, you could have had him be the police officer. Like, for instance, a few episodes ago where Maxine's dad or stepdad gets arrested for the assault. Maybe he was the one who stabbed Russell in self-defense, just as a kind of more organic way. And then a few weeks could have passed in universe, and Russell could have been like, you know what, going to do some teacher training, going to start at Waterloo Road, and then we have this one. I just think that would have been a more fun kind of organic way, because we hear about his past. It is quite exposition heavy, but I think for a drama like this, that's fine. I'm not going to challenge it, call it out too much, because I think about their screen time, I think about what they can do, what they should do, and that's just kind of that. I actually really rate Russell. I do kind of wish we had a few more episodes of Russell in it, to be honest with you, like a mini arc. This might sound quite weird, but just roll with me on this. Russell kind of reminds me of a bit of a prototype Darius. No, he's not slimy and manipulative in kind of the same way that like Darius is, but like he loses control of the class. He's quite like abusive to the kids, and he's sort of like he can't get his head around teaching, which is kind of like Darius, really. Maybe it's too much of a stretch, but I mean, like, he was lying to the head teacher. He was sneaking alcohol around. Like, we saw Darius lie. We saw Darius manipulate. Again, they're very different characters, very different ideals. There were some similarities there, except instead of it being a 2-series long arc, it was just a single episode. But to be fair, I think what they did with Russell was good. I liked the sort of change in perspectives. I think it highlights the English department and their strengths and weaknesses. So, for instance, when Russell was with Andrew, he was quite keen to, get involved, to have a go at it, to really be thrown in the deep end. And Andrew was like, "Whoa, hold on, pal. Like, we'll have you observe more." And Andrew's a stickler for the rules. He would have a system in play. He would be following it. So as much as he would respect Russell's eagerness, he'd be like, "Nope, this is the plan for today. This is the plan for tomorrow. Maybe when we get to week 2, you'll do some teaching." Like, that's sort of his mentality. Then we see afterwards the exact same setup, but he's in Grantley's class. But the difference is, like, the kids recognize him. Russell put one of the kids, I think it was dad's or brother, I can't remember, or cousin, someone related to him in prison. And Russell, like, has the bad scar, and he's like, "Oh, show us your scar." And Russell's like, "Tell you what, lad, you get 20 out of 20 in this test, and I'll show you the scar." And then Grantley's like, "Oh, that's about as likely as the Easter Bunny you come wandering in here," which is funny, it's amusing. And then Grantley's like to Russell, "Oh, well done." Like, you can see Grantley just has the utmost respect for Russell. Even later on, when Andrew tries calling him out for sending all of the kids to the cooler, and Russell challenges it, Grantley's just backing Russell all the way. Like, I think Grantley respects Russell's position as a cop and his no-nonsense approach. But also, as we know, Grantley hates Andrew. So seeing Andrew be knocked down by anyone would put Grantley in a good mood. And then back to the class. So speaking of Grantley, Russell's like, "Look, I can handle things here if you want to sneak away for a few minutes, get a coffee." They'll be doing the test for the next 15 minutes. Grantley's like, you know what? Yes, I'll do it. He's like, right, if you have any issues, you know where I am. He was like, I want you to listen to Mr. Mullen, and then just left the room. So in some ways, the fault kind of lies at Grantley's door because he shouldn't have left an inexperienced junior teacher in the classroom on their own during their very first day. Like that's not it. And then he loses control. The kids don't listen to him. The kids call him Stumpy, and he gets really stressed, flustered, and irritated, which is fine. At one point, I myself wanted to be an English teacher, and it's something that I've been. A couple of years ago, I was teetering more on the fence about it, but I'm sort of more comfortable with not doing it now. I think that ship's kind of sailed a little bit now. But for a while, I thought that's what I wanted to do. And actually, my friend George has just started doing it. He's doing his teacher training in London, and he's going to become an English teacher. So all the respect to him. But I think as much as I would enjoy like talking about books and stuff, reading their essays, marking it, I feel like that aspect I would absolutely fly in. But the issue is I don't handle confrontation very well. So I, like Russell, I wouldn't be able to cope if I had all these like cocky little teenagers giving me abuse. That's the side of it that puts me off. And I don't think I could cope with it. So ultimately, I decided not to do it, but for a period, I was like, you know what, I might give this a go. So the kids are mouthing off. He tries taking control. He tells that girl to put her headphones away. She doesn't listen. Everything just spirals out of control. Andrew pops up and is like, what is happening? When they all arrive at the cooler, and like Kim and Jack are defending him. Like, this is the kind of plot, like, again, as much as I love Russell, in some ways he is basically like a plot tool for the Kim and Andrew kind of will they, won't they, which at this point is getting really drawn out. But it's like he's sort of the tool used in their kind of conflict with each other. Because Kim's like, oh, let me mentor him, Jack. Like, Andrew's doing a bad job and stuff. And Jack's like, no, Andrew needs to do it. And it's just Kim's respect and admiration for Russell. It's winding Andrew up because Andrew can see that he's not coping. And then he takes to going to the 24/7, the offie, buying some booze. Again, I think Andrew... I don't like the bit of Andrew in the taxi. That's so like... Oh, how did I describe it last episode? It was when Tom told Holiday Granger... What's she called? Oh, balls, what's her name? Whatever, told her to stay away after he's being investigated, and Kim overhears it, and I talked about how it was very contrived, and I compared it to Shrek, which is still great. Andrew's taxi happening to go past when Russell left the offie is forced, arguably more forced than what happened last time. So Andrew sees he left the offie, but this is such a dumb plot point. Like, I think even what Kim says is true. Like, he may have been going to get milk, or it's lunchtime. Maybe he went to get a sandwich. Like, Andrew jumped to the conclusion. He's drinking. He grabbed booze. He went to the 24/7. It's like, well, whatever. You saw him leave his shop, Andrew. Like, oh, I don't like it. But then, yeah, he loses his temper. He belittles the kids. He speaks to them badly. And it ends with him whacking his bag over a kid and the bottle breaking, and Andrew basically tells him he shouldn't be teaching, and he quits. And there's quite a powerful moment at the end, actually, between Russell and Kim that I quite like, where Russell basically says that it's been a struggle, that he's been sober for so long, but the school pushed him over the edge, and that he would rather be sober than be a teacher, and Kim has the respect for it. Like, that scene's very well done. Like, it's well acted, well written. I really rate that scene. I even think the stuff at the end where Kim and Andrew kind of chat, and Andrew is like, I was jealous, and again, it's pushing the will they, won't they, but at least I feel like it's heading in somewhat of a normal direction now. So there's that. What else have we got this episode? There's more of the love triangle between Izzy, Lorna, and Tom, which I hate, but it's in a few episodes' time that's going to die out anyway. So Tom's back living with Lorna. Lorna thinks she's got Tom back. Lorna tells Izzy to back off. The whole thing becomes toxic. They try group teaching. It doesn't work. And Jack's like, right, one of you's got to go. And Lorna basically like volunteers. That's where it sort of leaves. The one thing I did find quite funny was when Tom was getting annoyed in Izzy's classroom, and then Izzy's like to Grantley, I need a different teaching partner, this isn't working. I get it from Izzy's point of view. She's trying to teach a class and Tom's bringing it up. Equally, Tom is very sore and it must be a difficult position to be in. But I found it really amusing that Grantley was like defending Tom. Izzy's like, look, I know you're mates. And Grantley's like, oh, what? He got kicked out of his house. He lost his home. And he's just defending Tom. And it's quite good. I always love the Tom Grantley friendship, especially when there are little nuggets like this, which really highlight their like closeness and stuff. Especially because it's quite easy to just write Grantley off, especially quite early into the show like we are currently. But even now, like I said in my big Grantley video I did a few weeks ago, like Grantley mellows out and has a really good character arc. But even then, I'd argue as early as this episode, you start to see these little moments, these small little cracks where Grantley's softer and kinder side emerges. And I think this is an example of that. Steph starts looking at homeless shelters for Maxine because she doesn't qualify for fostering. The set design for the one room is really good. Like, it's really dingy and it's horrible. Like, I get Steph doesn't need to say anything. The scene works. You understand what Steph's thinking. It's awful. She's like, no, Maxine, you can come stay with me. And that's that. What's she called? Davina wants to be a TA. Jack doesn't want to lose her. We know that she goes on to be a TA, and she's a good one. Especially when we have that New Zealand teacher come in later on. I'm so excited for that episode. Reece Shackleton, you have insulted my culture. Just, it makes me happy whenever I hear it. My friend Luke can just do a perfect impression, and it makes me laugh. So yeah, Jack eventually concedes, and Davina is going to become a TA, which is cool. Yeah, so I thought this one was alright. I quite like this one. Like Russell, very much felt like a traditional Waterloo Road episode, as we'll come to see them. So yeah, I thought it was quite good. I'm going to leave it there because I think I've said all that I want to say. No, it's a slightly shorter episode, but is what it is. So it's been Waterloo Road Rewind. You've had Ollie, and I'll see you all soon.